Does your relationship with a teen seem hopeless? Teens of today face so many heavy issues, from bullying to pregnancy. They want someone to turn to, but they aren't sure where to start. We've got some answers. This is Tools for Teen Transformation with Lily Williams. We can provide tools to help teens and their parents see things a bit differently and open up the lines of discussion. Now, here's Coach Lily.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to Tools for Teen Transformation Radio, and I'm your host, Lily Williams. I am a John Maxwell certified life coach, consultant, speaker, and trainer. I am also owner and CEO of Perfecting Destiny Coaching Services. We believe teens can become productive citizens and live their best lives by helping them to get rid of limiting belief, thoughts, and ideas that does not add value to them. We believe we can change teen behavior by changing what and how teens think. Our topic for today's show is Teen Spirituality Breeds Teen Success. And this show is dedicated to helping teens find themselves spiritually. We know that teens fare better when they have a clear belief of who they are spiritually. Today, Coach Billy and Coach Lily will discuss ways to increase spiritual activities for teens, and you enjoy the show today. Now, I'm going to pass the mic to Coach Billy, and she's going to introduce herself to you today. I do want you to know that she's a board-certified life coach and a certified stress management coach. Coach Billy, will you introduce yourself to our radio audience today?
Yes, good morning to the audience. And Coach Lily, thank you so much for having me on the show. As she said, I'm Coach Billy Crutcher. I go by Coach Billy C. One of the things I always want people to know about me and my company, Inspirational Strength, is that we help you to live your best life now. We're not worried about what you did in the past. We're not worried about the future. But right now, in this moment, it's everything that we have. And through the processes of mindset development, learning how to become financially sound and financially free, and also building our core in the areas of happiness, joy, and just living life to the fullest with the fullness. Right now, in this moment, that's what I do. I work with a lot of female entrepreneurs. That's my main audience. And just entrepreneurs in general who are looking and seeking to either become unstuck from the areas where they're having trouble in those 8 dimensions. And people can find those, we'll talk about that later, where they can find that. Just, Google me. But
okay.
The main thing is that you're laughing. Coach, I'm laughing, but I mean, really, that's the truth. Really helping people to have a whole life filled with fulfillment, because we know every day won't be happy, but when we have the right mindset, we're able to go out here, and when obstacles get in our way and we face things that we've never faced before, we are prepared. We are equipped with the tools inside of us to be able to deal with that and navigate those areas better without going basically off the rails. And that's Coach, important. That's so important.
Thank you so much, Coach Billy C. Thank you so much. And I wanted to say very, very quickly, you just hit on so many things. I want our radio audience to know that she has such a vast area of people that she help and those kinds of things. But when she agreed to work with us with our teens this morning, you've already heard her say that, we've got to worry about them physically, mentally. She said something about financially and socially. For the group that she works with, our targeted audience is our teens. And Coach Billy C., thank you so much for being with us. And she's going to start her conversation this morning by we're going to be talking about some ideas, some strategies and mindsets with our teen population. Let me say to our radio audience, this is going to be, we talked about all these other things, but we've not addressed spirituality. And Coach Billy C has agreed this morning that she's going to step away from her targeted audience, us women and entrepreneurs, and she's going to come right here with our teenage population, with the teens this morning. We're all in here with them, and we're helping them to look at and engage in and address their spirituality. Coach C, start us off this morning.
Okay, you can just call me Coach Bill or Coach Lily.
Okay.
When we talk about teens and their spirituality, and I'm going to give you a little background to tell you why I'm qualified to do this. I was an early childhood educator for well over 20 years. I volunteer with our teen population within the military community, outside of the military community. I've been a teen mentor. I've worked with our youth groups, and I've raised two very healthy, balanced young men as well as nephews and nieces. I still have conversations with young people all the time because they tend to be drawn to me. A lot of them say I'm just easy to talk to and I'm non-judgmental. And when we talk about their spirituality, that is a big place where there is a gap and where I see a gap. When I talk to parents, they say, I don't know what's going on with my children. I don't know why they're trying all of these different things. They've changed. It's because between the ages of about 13 to 17, that's a critical period for them and just finding out who they are. And it doesn't help when they see a lot of hypocrisy around them in the things that we do because it's contradictory to the things that we've taught them when it comes to spiritual discipline. You know, we tell our children that, you know, you have to behave in this particular manner. You have to talk a certain way. But then they see us and our mouths are foul and we're talking worse than sailors and we're doing things unethical and we're doing things that do not show that love, that spiritual love of Christ, or even if you don't follow Christ, just that spiritual groundedness. They don't see the love let's talk about love, compassion, joy, kindness. They don't see those things in us. So at a time when they are spiritually developing, I mean, this is a big developmental stage for them. They're trying to get their own personal relationship with their higher power. And then they're looking at the people around them and things in society that are so contradictory to that. It turns a lot of them off. That's what we're seeing now in 2019, 2018. The trend really started spiraling down about 2013. It seemed like it just really started going downhill from there.
Well, Coach Billy, okay, Coach Billy, you mentioned one word a while ago. I think that we really need to look at when we're talking about teens and their spirituality. We're going to explain more about to our audience about what spirituality and how we're looking at it. But you use one word, non-judgmental.
Yes.
And I think that when we're dealing with teens, that judgmental part is something that we're going to have to intentionally work on with them when we're looking at their spirituality and all the other areas that we're helping them within their lives.
Right.
Do you want to comment on that for just a minute, that judgmental part?
Okay, the judgmental part comes in where we must learn to just listen. Listen without judgment and listen without expectation. Because when they come and talk to you, they really just want you to listen, not judge what they're saying or the decision that they may be about to make. I know it's difficult because a lot of us want our young people or the people we raise to be many versions of ourselves, or we feel that the doctrine, our principles and beliefs that we live our life by, Those are the principles. I don't know if you grew up in a household like that, but my mother was like, this is what we do here, and this is what everyone's going to do here. And she didn't want to hear anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that may have worked back in 19 whatever, but that does not work in today's world. So we must learn to remove the judgment and not be so quick to point the finger or say, well, that's just wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be willing to explore other ideas.
And Coach Billy, I'm thinking too that when we say spirituality, you're saying your parents had an idea of what your spirituality should be. Mm-hmm. My parents, and usually whatever you're introduced to, that is the position that you take on. Today, when we're talking to our radio audience, I don't know that we're trying to stir you in one direction or another. What we're trying to do with our radio audience, because we're talking to people all over the world today, we want you to look at your spirituality as connecting yourself with somebody that is higher. And sometimes people say something that is higher than yourself. Is that what we're doing this morning, Coach Billy?
Yes, and I have a definition here. I'll read it to you. I pulled it up, and it fit exactly what I'm about and what I talk about when I talk about spirituality. It says spirituality has to do with the spirit, not in ghost, but as in the essence of being human. It's your soul or your inner life. When we talk about spirituality, we're not talking about religious beliefs. Now, we're talking about the things that we believe, maybe rituals, practices, guidelines that we follow to help us develop and grow our inner life.
I like that definition. I can understand that definition, and that will work. That definition will work. When we're trying to get teens to look at their inner selves, that's what this whole radio show is about. It's called Tools for Teen Transformation. And we're getting them to look inside themselves to get new ideas, to get strategies, and to change their mindsets and their thought processes, and to make better decisions and better choices. And how would they do that? Getting connected with their inner selves. What is going to work for them? Their soul, their spirit that you just mentioned. I love that definition. I love that one.
Yeah, I have a practice form. You know, one of the things that you can do, and this is simple, is just to begin your day with meditation and prayer. And when I say meditation and prayer, I'll give you a guideline. That's just quiet time for you to reflect and set your intentions for the day. That's just a time for you to sit and just meditate on what you want your day to look like. Well, before you leave out to go to school, you know, I'm going to have the best day that I can possibly have. That's time for you to look into yourself and maybe analyze your dreams from the night before, some of the ideas and thoughts from whatever happened yesterday, and just to set a new intention for that day. It's a quiet time and a space and a time that you use. Some people practice yoga. We have a lot of young people that practice yoga now. And yoga is not a religious discipline. It's a spiritual discipline. It means to yoke oneself, to yoke to your inner self. That's what it means. It's just coming into peace and harmony and balance with yourself and your inner being. Maybe you want to get up and take a morning run. That's what my son used to do. He played soccer and he loved to run. So that was one of his pastimes. He would take time to just get to himself and meditate. He still does it. He likes the woods, so he goes into the woods and he writes. He says that helps him to feel connected to the world and to everything around it and into that higher power. So those are different practices that you can do.
And that's what we're trying to make sure that our teens understand. When we say meditate, sometimes that's a frightful word because we're thinking religion, we're thinking all other kinds of things. But Coach Billy just said to you that meditate is just getting your quiet time and intentional. That's another word that coaches use all the time. You have to intentionally set what your day is going to look like. And this is what we're teaching our teens all the time. Coach Billy, we're teaching them to reflect. That's the word you just used, on what happened. And we're looking at anything and everything that our teens are concerned with. We're trying to help them to get to a better place. And when you say prayer is, let's talk about that for a minute, Coach Billy, because, all of us don't pray the very same all over the world. So Coach Billy's going to talk with us about that.
Yeah, I could talk to you about prayer, and I'm just going to demystify it for you. Mm-hmm. You know what it means? It means to sit somewhere and be still and begin to speak those things that you would like to see happen in the world. Speak life into those situations where you may be having a hard time. It is just you speaking to your inner self and speaking to your higher power. That's the conversation. There's no one else there. No one can tell you exactly how to do it. They have all of these different formulas. I won't give you a formula. I say do what feels good and what feels right for you. And during that time of prayer, we also listen. That's where we get still and we get quiet after we say whatever it is. Maybe sometimes people just quiet. Some people sing songs. People do all types of things. I'm telling you, this world is filled with a multitude of beautiful people. And I've had the pleasure of working with people in different places, Australia, what is it? I'm trying to think right now. Paris, other places. I mean, people all over the world. And it is amazing, the practices that they use and the way they refer to it as just being an inner conversation with their higher power. And it's beautiful. And you get to listen and just let that feeling wash over you and that love. You know, that it's a vibrational love that just pours into you. And sometimes you may feel sorrowful. That's okay. You let those tears out into prayer. I used to tell my goddaughter, and I still say that she's a teenager now, that her tears are prayers. They're unspoken prayers. Because sometimes we don't have the vocal words to say. But whatever you make it is sacred, and know that it's sacred and it's private. And it's unique to each person.
Yes, unique to each person. I like that. And you did mention that it's conversation. It's just conversation. And Lisa Nichols, another life coach, I read her materials sometimes. She said, your whole life is a physical manifestation of the conversations going on in your head. And we know that, and that's what we're trying to work with our teens on today. And radio audience, stay with us. When we come back on the other side of our break, we're going to continue talking about some of the ways that we can, like I've said with teenagers, get in their heads. We're trying to deposit ideas and thoughts and beliefs that will change their behaviors, that will make them productive citizens, and to help them to live their best lives. You are listening to Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Lily Williams, and our guest this morning is Coach Billy C. Come back with us.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit Facebook.com/Voice America.
All over the country, we're seeking ways to stop just one more teen school shooting, to stop just one more teen suicide, just one more teen pregnancy, and just one more teen drug and alcohol addiction. Policies, rules, and regulations will not change teen behavior. The one known research-based strategy to change teen behavior is to change what and how teens think. As a result of using the concepts, ideas, and strategies outlined in Tools for Teen Transformation, teens have fallen in love with themselves, raised their self-esteem, made better choices, and changed their behaviors. They are living productive lives. Look for the book Tools for Teen Transformation coming soon, and to be announced first at Coach Lily's website, perfectingdestiny.com. You may also visit her website if you'd like to support the cause of empowering youth, teens, and young adults to love themselves and add value to their lives and everyone around them. That's perfectingdestiny.com. And be sure to look for Coach Lily's upcoming book.
Are you a game changer in disguise? Are you tired of waking up every day saying, they soar like eagles and I'm stuck in the nest? Well, wonder no more. It's time to soar. Of the world's millionaires, billionaires, and game changers, almost all started with at least one unique idea. Join Crystal for a controversial look at triumphs, tragedies, tools, and secrets for living a fun, financially free life with her successful guests. Listen to Soaring with Eagles, Tuesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on Voice America Empowerment. And get ready to soar.
Do you sometimes feel powerless over your own life? Does it seem like you're living for someone else, unsure of what your purpose is, or if you even have an important voice? It's time to take back that control. Tune in to Empowered with Des and Jen. They've been in the same place and have learned to regain control of their lives. They also feature amazing guests who share experiences of how they have found success. Start on your journey by listening Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on Voice America Empowerment.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You are tuned in to Tools for Teen Transformation with Lily Williams. Reach out to Coach Lily via email at perfectingdestinylifecoach@gmail.com. That's perfectingdestinylifecoach@gmail.com. Now, back to Tools for Teen Transformation.
Thank you, radio audience, for coming back with us this morning. You're listening to Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Lily Williams, and our special guest this morning is Coach Billy Crutcher. Now, we've been talking about spirituality with our teens this morning. I wanted to mention to you that we're not talking about a lot of research-based things this morning, but sometimes we just have to go back to the research just a little bit. And I looked at a study, and studies demonstrate that there's a strong link between our spiritual activities with our teens. And it's a higher level of personal resilience, and their academics improve, and they have more charitable work. They do more community work, and they're just overall better citizens. Coach Billy said that she's got a book that she wanted to mention to you. Coach, do you want to share that? And I think we can use that as a resource too.
Yes, you can use it as a resource because we cover all the 8 dimensions of life, including spirituality. And this book is being used by some parents and aunts that I know to open those conversations with their young people and their young adults, because they give them the book. And because it's a short read, but it's a powerful read, they're able to just come back and open that discussion up. And we've been able to take it into Duke University at the Women's Center and give a presentation on it and things like that. So we know that this resource is good. And the title of the book is The Happy Mind Matrix. It's available on Amazon. So you can head over there. You can purchase the book. If you're in Fayetteville, you can contact me to get a copy of the book if you want a signed copy, or just purchase it on Amazon. The Happy Mind Matrix. It was written by co-authored with 7 other authors who are experts in their area, and our very own Dr. Jacqueline Howard did our spiritual happy section of the book. I know, so it's good.
I know Dr. Howard, when you mentioned Dr. Howard's name, and I've met some wonderful coaches along the way. We're so glad to have you, Coach Billy, with us this morning, too. We appreciate you taking your time and helping us to send a word out to our teens and our young adults and our parents that might be listening this morning, whomever, and when they do the replay. We are just so interested in helping our teens, as I've said, in every area of their lives, physically, mentally, socially, financially, however we can. But we kind Coach Billy, we want to put spirituality at the very top. Now, we have looked at teen suicide. Some of the times we've looked at drugs and alcohol. We've looked at parenting. We've looked at strategies to teach teens how to raise their self-esteem. We looked at ideas on how to get them to respect and know how to act with law enforcement. We looked at all kinds of things that we wanted to deal with our teens. And this morning, we have come to one of the top. Coach Billy, I'm going to say this out of knowledge and out of just pure working knowledge, everyday knowledge, and experience knowledge. I'm thinking to myself that all of the things that I've just named, we need spirituality first. We need to look at that area. That area is going to influence every other area. And I already know you want to tell us about that. I know you do.
Right. Well, what we have to look at, and I just did a live before the show, inviting people to the show. So, and the connection is this. When you mention spirituality, that is directly connected to your emotional health and your emotional well-being. If you are not emotionally well, you will not be spiritually well. The two are very connected. That's why you hear teens say, and even in these studies, and this is the study you mentioned, there are many studies. There are so many. There are numerous amounts of studies. I even looked at some of the research. So a lot of what we are talking about actually is research-based, even though we may not be mentioning the particular study. The information is out there, and parents, I want you to look at the information. But back to what you just said, emotional wellness. It is so important that we are in tune to our feelings and our emotions. We know how to manage and deal with those, because when we don't, we suffer spiritually. There is a disconnect, and that's why many of our teens, and I like to say young people, many of our young people are suffering. They are suffering because there is a disconnect there. They don't know how to they don't have the emotional IQ to deal with it. They don't have the tools in their toolbox to deal with it. And maybe those adults around them don't have those tools. That's why we're thankful for shows like this and that you guys are discussing all of these other areas of life so that they can grow spiritually. They can grow emotionally. Because when there's a disconnect there, that causes depression. It causes one to feel lost. It causes you to feel like you don't fit in anywhere. And sometimes it even leads to you feeling that your life is meaningless, when we know that's not the truth. Because we know that you are, and I want you to understand this, those of you who are listening, anywhere, the sound of my voice, that you are more than enough. This is a part of spiritual development, learning to accept yourself. And you know why you accept yourself? Because of who you are and who you were created to be. You won't always believe what you're taught. That's where that emotional part comes in. Imagine learning something all of your life, being brought up with these principles for living when it concerns love, compassion, humanity, and the way that we treat each other. That's all spiritual. And then getting out here in this world and realizing it may not be quite like that, or maybe that doesn't resonate with you. It can make you really feel like you're dishonoring your parents. But know that you're not. When you take the responsibility as a young person to seek out your personal truth, that is loving yourself. But you want to do it in a respectful manner and continue to honor your elders and those who brought you up. You won't always see eye to eye, but we can come to some type of agreement in the middle, because I've had to do it.
And Coach Billy, you just mentioned too in your comments that you don't want to dishonor, your parents. And
right.
every time that we come on the show, we always want to say thank you to the parents, that are doing everything that they can do to make sure that they raise healthy adults. We want to say thank you to them. And see, sometimes, when that does not occur, we're quick to point the fingers. Now, what we want the parents to know this morning concerning our teen spirituality, that teenagers are heavily influenced by the parental approval. And when we say we don't want to disappoint our parents, when parents affirm and accept the teen's desire and guide them into spirituality. That's pretty much how we're going to get there. Do you think the parents are going to be the biggest influence? That's my question to you, Coach Bill.
Your parents are your number one influence. The people that raise you and have a hand in raising you, whether the parents, aunts, uncles, foster care system, they have the overall number one impact. They are the child's first heroes. They are the child's first teachers. They are the child's first everything. That's where we learn our love relationships. That's where we learn our interactions. That's where we get our spiritual beliefs and our principles from. So your child comes to you, and I'm going to use my family. I have permission. My children I'm an open book. So I have permission from my 33-year-old and my 27-year-old. I just can't say their names. But my youngest came to me. I was child number 2, and he was in high school. So he's a teen. And he said to me, Mom, I like the church we go to, and I'm going to continue to go, but I don't want to go there. I want to go somewhere else. So I kind of side-eyed him, and I said, well, explain to me why. And he said, because where we go now, it's a little too loud. It's a little too charismatic for me. I would like to go somewhere else where it's more quiet. They have smaller teen groups, and I just feel more at home there. And as a parent, that was kind of hard. But you know what? I said, okay, well, I'm going to come visit with you because I wanted to see where he was being involved. And I loved it because they did a lot of things in the community. And so he saw me doing things in the community, and his father So he still does things in the community because that's how he was raised. Number one is a little bit different because he's unconventional. He stands by all of the spiritual principles, but he do it his way. And that's okay because he's still a good person. He's still a good human being. He's kind. He's compassionate. And he wouldn't hurt a soul. So, you have to, like we said, parents, when they come to you with that, offer the support and guidance. But allow them room to explore the meaning of their place in the world and their connection to their higher power.
I like that when you said explore. We allow them time to explore and to discover their spiritual identity.
Yeah.
We allow them. And it's difficult sometimes as parents when we know what we want our spirituality to be. And I'm just saying, because I'll continue to say that we're talking to teens and parents all over the world, that we certainly have to be inclusive of spirituality and how their spirituality, what it means to them. And you used the words when we first came on this morning. You said it's a very personal thing. And all of us know that. It is personal. It is between you and your spiritual higher being. So, Coach Billy, sometimes when our teens, it would have been not so good had you not allowed your son to have gone to explore and to discover. Sometimes we as parents, we tie our teens' hands. Sometimes we as parents, you stifle their growth and their exploration. And we just need to have a sense that we need to allow them to be them and to support them.
Yes.
Let me say this to you, Coach Billy. Now, somebody had said, we're always talking about today's teens and these teenagers today. And then somebody did do a little bit of research, and they say that teens are less likely, less inclined to the spirituality of themselves or to try to connect with their spiritual being than they have been like maybe 10 years ago, a decade ago. Do you kind of agree with that, or?
Yes, it's a fact. It is a fact. We see it. We see it every day. You look in the news, just turn on TV. Just read the news media. Children of today, and every generation uses that term, so please don't be offended if I say that. Everyone. We were those kids when we were growing up. My kids were those kids. I have a grandchild. He'll be part of that, too. That's just the terminology. But, yes, they are moving further away. Because, like I said, all the hypocrisy you see, if I wasn't spiritually grounded myself as an adult, I would be probably attuned to move away, too, from my spirituality. It disconnects you when you see things in the world there's a disparity. You see what I'm saying? There's a disproportionate representation of the bad versus the good. There's a disproportionate representation of how all of this caring and loving and compassion could possibly help me. Why be that way if people are just going to do what they're going to do? If my parents are still going to come home and curse and kick the dog and yell at me? Why be that way? If you want me to go to, just say, particular services or do particular things in the community, but you're not doing it yourself, why should I?
And we know that everybody, if you're in a growing up situation, you usually model that you've been taught. You model that you see. And all of us know that what I see speaks so much louder than what I hear. We know that. And I can appreciate those comments. There's something else I wanted to say. Every time we talk about the teenagers now in 2019, we want to talk about technology. We never leave that word out because technology is here to stay. It is. And how do you think, Coach Billy, technology. Do you think our teens and young adults are spending more time with technology being who they are depending on as being just their guide? Are they talking to the computer more than they're talking to their higher selves?
Well, I believe they are. That's been shown in studies that they spend a lot of screen time. I mean, when you're looking at 24 hours in a day and then they're in school, but then they're spending, 4 to 6 hours or more on their mobile devices. Mm-hmm. Mostly it's mobile devices because we have phones and technology right at our hands. We go to bed with it. They're waking up with it. So, it's just where they want to plug in. And that's where, again, we have to give them the guidance on where to plug in when they're using these devices. They can join positivity groups. There are a lot of positive groups out there of like-spirited. I know a lot of people say like-minded people, but I want to say to our teens and our young people, find like-spirited people. Those are people who possess a spirit that you have, because sometimes the mindset may not be the same as yours. I'll use the example of
you're right about that. Coach,
that mindset might not be the same as yours, but the spirit, and you can feel people's spirit and that connection to them. So, you want to have people who have common interest. We have youth groups, we have teen groups, we have mentoring programs. Those are all good places for them to start. And they can find those places with the technology, because we can say, take all the technology away, and then what? We are advanced people. We are advancing, so technology is not bad. It's the way in which it is used. So that's the parents need to monitor as well.
We're listening to Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. You're listening to Coach Billy, and she has got so much to say to us. On the other side of our break, when we come back, Coach Billy is going to be giving you some more tips that she's got. She's got some other tools for us to put in our belt this morning. We'll be right back. Please come back. Your host, Lily Williams, and our special guest, Coach Billy Croucher. Come back.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
All over the country, we're seeking ways to stop just one more teen school shooting, to stop just one more teen suicide, just one more teen pregnancy, and just one more teen drug and alcohol addiction. Policies, rules, and regulations will not change teen behavior. The one known research-based strategy to change teen behavior is to change what and how teens think. As a result of using the concepts, ideas, and strategies outlined in Tools for Teen Transformation, teens have fallen in love with themselves, raised their self-esteem, made better choices, and changed their behaviors. They are living productive lives. Look for the book Tools for Teen Transformation coming soon, and to be announced first at Coach Lily's website, perfectingdestiny.com. You may also visit her website if you'd like to support the cause of empowering youth, teens, and young adults to love themselves and add value to their lives and everyone around them. That's perfectingdestiny.com. And be sure to look for Coach Lily's upcoming book.
We experience all sorts of changes as we move through life, marriage, raising children, moving up the corporate ladder, and saving for retirement. To maneuver smoothly through these changes, tune in to Practical Solutions for Life with host Catherine Wilking. Through engaging guests, fun topics, and feng shui solutions, you will learn how to take charge and move from chaos to prosperity. Be sure to listen live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
If you've always wanted to take the lead in your life, but you don't believe you are a leader, then it's time to change that mindset. Leadership expert Linda Patton will help you discover the powerful leader that lives within and teach you the leadership skills that will transform your business and your life. Stepping into your leadership brings reality to your vision, and leadership can be learned. Find out more on Leadership Stars every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Think you've seen everything there is to see in online television? Let us surprise you. Visit VoiceAmerica.tv today for sports, health, business, and more on demand 24/7.
You are tuned in to Tools for Teen Transformation with Lily Williams. Reach out to Coach Lily via email at perfectingdestinylifecoach@gmail.com. That's perfectingdestinylifecoach@gmail.com. Now, back to Tools for Teen Transformation.
Hello, welcome, and thank you for coming back with us. Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. I am your host, Lily Williams, Coach Lily, and I'm here today with Coach Billy C. Croucher, and we are encouraging our teens to be spiritual, to seek their higher power. We're encouraging teens to be better. We're encouraging teens because we know that they fare better if they are connected spiritually, if they find themselves spiritually. Coach Billy and I, we have looked at reporting experiences that teens, when they're connected with their spirituality, with their spiritual selves, we know that these teens have higher academic achievement. We know that these teens work better in the community. We know that these teens, their mindset is of good, healthy thoughts. We know that these teens have good ideas. We know that these teens' thought processes are to the point that they are helpful, that they're respectful, that they are taking care of these other areas. We know that when teens are connected spiritually, then they're connected, as Coach said, physically, mentally, financially, and socially. All of these things are taken care of. Now, Coach Billy, before I break, you have mentioned some wonderful things that we can do to get our teens in a better place. Do you want to continue that? I know that you've got some more. Thank you. Go right ahead, please.
Okay. And then I wanted to add to what you just said emotionally, because emotional IQ is where all that resiliency comes from. That's where that self-efficacy comes from, that being sure of yourself, being secure in yourself, being happy within yourself, because then you can be happy on the outside too. So the resources, as I mentioned, we want to make sure we get these in before the end of the show. And I'll go over the tips again too. The books. I want to give you a couple of books on spiritual growth. These are important, like I said, again, to give them sound resources. We have teen Bibles with study guides, but we also have a book called The Battlefield of the Mind for Teens. It's written by Joyce Myers, because our mind is a battlefield, and there she deals with a lot of the emotional stuff that they're going to go through and things to help them be more resilient and to have those tools in place so when you come up against certain situations and certain circumstances, you're ready. So that's Battlefield of the Mind for Teens. And this is a book, everybody, I think it should be on everyone's shelf. You need to pick it up. It's a small little book. It can fit in your pocketbook in the back of your pocket. It's called How to Forgive the Unforgivable by John Stoop. When we are unable to forgive, that blocks us spiritually. That blocks your spiritual growth, young people. I want you to understand that. And some of you have faced things that are unforgivable. And that turns you away. It turns you away from those places where you can find that support and that help. It makes it hard to pray when you go through those things. But know that you are not alone. And people have provided resources and tools to help you navigate those hard places. I know it's hard when we're out here and we feel hopeless. And sometimes we feel shame and guilt. But no, there's no shame or guilt in the process of experiencing, exploring, and learning your place in life.
And Coach,
Connecting
you mentioned
to our higher self is difficult. Go ahead, Coach Lily.
Coach, you mentioned too, I was just listening at you, and you said about finding themselves or getting out of their hard places and the dark places. You mentioned in our conversation that there's a place for our team there, and you called it a safe place. Can you talk about that for a minute? A safe place.
You said,
for them.
Could you repeat the question?
You talked about a safe place. You talked about a safe place when we were talking about our teens and getting them to the place that there's no judgment. You talked about a little bit about forgiveness and all of that. And you said when all of that happens, we'll have our teens in where they can say it is a safe place for them. The safe place to get into with themselves.
And the safe place becomes, and the safe place becomes anywhere that they can be, where they have that support, where they have the shoulder to lean on, where they feel secure and they're safe enough to come and be able to open up and talk about all of the things that they're going through. And that's parents and that's caregivers. That is our job, to provide that safe space for them. In my home, when my children were growing up, we had family meetings. And at the family meeting, we had a couple of rules. You will be respectful, and we could not retaliate for anything they said. So that was a safe place, and we did not go back on it. Number one told us one time he was just tolerating us. Imagine that. That's how he felt. He was like, I'm just trying to get to 18. Y'all got too many rules.
But isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful, Coach, that they can give us? I mean, I being mature baby boomer senior citizens, so our thoughts are really out of connection with how teens think now, how parents think now. But now parents say, "Oh, go ahead and talk to us about that." Back in my day, if you had given me that kind of information, it would not have been well with you.
Well, that's why we have to set the ground rules. We have to set ground rules that this is a safe place. That's why my son was able to come and say, "Mom, I don't want to go to this church anymore. This doesn't resonate with me. But there is a place I would like to go, and sure, come over and see it. And so you can see what I'm doing with other young people, because he was a young person mentoring other young people. He's like, come and see what I'm doing over here. And it just opened up his life so much. So when we're talking about the spirituality, these are the tips. And I hope you young people are ready to get your pens and papers. Begin your day with meditation and prayer. And remember, there's no pressure there. It's just your time to reflect with your higher self. Join a group of positive, like-spirited and like-minded people who have common interests. Read books on spiritual growth. Practice gratitude every single day of your life. That's the big one for me. Every day, find something in your world to be thankful for. Write about it. Post on social media about it. Paint it. Create your world beautiful every day that you can. Even in your darkest moments, you write about it. You get that stuff out of you, because it's a blocker to you being spiritually well when we have that bad stuff going on with us. And accept yourself, all of you, because you are more than enough. If I can say nothing else to you all, I want you to know that you are more than enough. You are created beautiful. You are created magnificent. And in all your imperfection, because we are all imperfect, you are one of the best things in this world. Share that with someone else. Coach Lily, I just thank you. I thank you, and I'm so humbled to be able to be here and share this with your young people and the parents.
I'm so glad to have you. I'm so glad to have you. And you know what I know, Coach Billy? I know that somebody listening at this radio show today is going to think differently than before they heard the show. Somebody is going to join some groups, some youth groups, like-minded groups. Somebody's going to read some of these books. Somebody's mind is going to change. Somebody's going to realize that, wow, I am special. I am beautiful. Somebody's going to realize, look, and there's not another me. I'm the only me. And it's all about me. How about that, Coach? Yeah. Somebody's going to realize that. And there was one other study I wanted to get to today. It talked about our teenage girls, and it found a clear link that between personal spiritual devotion is lower rates of sexual activity before the marriage. And we all knew that. We all know that when you connect with your higher authority, improper sexuality, drugs, all the things that are not going to make you a healthy adult, they decrease, they fall off. You don't be involved in that anymore. So if you're facing those kinds of situations as a teen, connect with your higher spiritual being, your higher self.
Yes, and, because there's. Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We've got about 3 more minutes before we are going off, but we want to make sure that, Coach, if there was something else you needed to give this group of teenagers today, we want to make room for that.
Right. I just wanted to add on, piggyback off of what you just said, and say to them that because when you connect to your higher self, especially when we're talking about those things where no one's putting you down, if you've been in those situations, I was a teen parent. I know how it is. But what we're saying is that it gives you that security in yourself to be secure in yourself. So you're not looking for that love and that security and that meaning outside of yourself. Because sometimes that's why we end up in those situations. So just continue to search and seek and ask the questions. And if you can't ask them at home, you can link up with some other people that'll be able, positive people, positive role models that'll be able to help you. There are so many. And we love you.
We do. We love our teenagers. Wow, don't we?
Yeah.
We love our teenagers, and we love everybody else, but this is a group that we need to intentionally target because the teen population is the people that are in control, really, of the entire world. They're the people that's going to be making our decisions. They're the people that's going to be running things for us. So I want to say to you, this is Coach Lily, and it's been Coach Billy Croucher. We want to make sure that our teens today know that spirituality breeds success. If you want to be successful, connect with your inner self. We're giving you tools, ideas, and strategies and mindsets. This has been Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. Come back with us next week. And next week, we're going to be trying to get our teens to make a stronger community presence, to get them out voting and being in the community, doing other things. And Coach, I want you to just keep us in your thoughts and prayers, and we'll be connecting. And this has been Tools for Teen Transformation Radio. Come back with us next week.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining Coach Lily and Tools for Teen Transformation. You'll want to be here for another show next Tuesday at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Until then, use some of what you've learned today to start a dialogue and be there for someone. It just might save a teen's life.